government said that the electric vehicle adoption in India has risen sharply over the past decade, with electric vehicles now accounting for more than 8% of the total vehicle sales. Now, the government says it is keeping a close watch on the availability as well as the prices of essential commodities across the country, while continuing to monitor the impact of the West Asia conflict.
In June 2026, India hit a number it had never hit before. 1 in every 8 vehicles sold in country was electric. Sounds like a win, right? But here is the catch. Almost every battery inside those electric vehicles was either made in China or made in India using parts that came from China. India is winning the EV race and losing the battery race at the same time. And today I am going to show you exactly why with the real numbers, not the press release version. Let's start with the good news because it's real. In June 2026, India sold a record 306,220 electric vehicles in a single month. That's electric two-wheelers, cars and commercial vehicles combined. That pushed EVs to over 12% of all vehicle sales in a country for the first time ever, according to data from the Federation of Automobile Dealers Associations. Electric cars alone made up 8% of new car sales. Electric two-wheelers crossed 10.6%. This is not a small niche market anymore. 1 in 8 new vehicles rolling out of an Indian showroom is now electric. So the demand side of this story is genuinely working. Indians are buying EVs. The problem is what's inside them. Rewind to May 2021. The Indian government announces something called the ACC-PLI scheme, Advanced Chemistry Cell Production Link Incentives. In plain language, a Rs 18,100 crore plan to get India making its own EV batteries instead of importing them. The target was specific: 50 gigawatt hours of battery cell manufacturing capacity built inside India by 2025. To put that number in context, 50 gigawatt hours is roughly enough battery capacity for 1 million electric cars a year. This wasn't a small ambition. This was India saying, we will stop depending on China for the one part of an EV that actually matters the most. 4 companies won the bidding: Ola Electric, Reliance New Energy, Hyundai Global Motor and Rajesh Exports, and were allocated a combined 40 gigawatt hours of that 50 gigawatt target. Here's where the story turns. As of October 2025, 4 years after the scheme launched, how much of that 50 gigawatt target had actually been commissioned and running? 1.4 gigawatt hours, that's 2.8% of the target, and all of it came from a single company, Ola Electric. Hyundai Global Motor pulled out of its allocation entirely. Investment into the scheme reached only 2,878 crore, about 26% of what was expected. Jobs created 1,118 against target of over 1 million. That's 0.1%. And as of February 2026, the government had paid out 0 rupees in incentives to any company in the scheme because none of them had hit the manufacturing milestones required to unlock the money. Why did this stall so badly? A few real reasons. According to an IEEFA and JMK research analysis, the domestic value addition requirements were extremely aggressive: 25% in year 1, rising to 60% in 5 years, which was tough to companies with no existing local supply chain to draw from. There were also visa delays for Chinese technical specialists needed to actually install the manufacturing equipment and to install the timeline itself. Just 2 years was unrealistic for the first-time battery manufacturers. Even if India builds every gigawatt hour of battery factory is promised, there is a bigger issue underneath: the raw materials inside those batteries. China refines about 74% of the world's lithium, 80% of its cobalt, and holds 98% of global production of a key battery material called LFP cathode. India's own lithium refining capacity is right now effectively zero. In 2025, India imported 18,200 tons of lithium compounds. 68% of it came from China. Overall, close to 75 to 85% of the lithium-ion batteries used in Indian electric vehicles are either made in China or made using Chinese components, and that import bill has grown roughly 8-fold since 2019, crossing $3 billion by the last financial year. And here's a twist that should worry any geopolitics-minded viewer. India actually found a massive lithium reserve, 5.9 million tons in Jammu and Kashmir. When the government put mining rights up for auction, it did not get a single qualified bidder. So, even where India has the resources in the ground, it does not yet have the private sector capability or incentive to mine and refine it. To be fair, the story isn't frozen. In July 2026, the government opened a new global tender for 10 more gigawatt hours of battery manufacturing, this time specifically for grid-scale energy storage, not just EVs, signaling the ambition is actually widening. A credit ratings agencies, CAREDge, projects that if the delayed gigafactories finally came online, India's lithium-ion import dependence could fall to around 20% by FY 2027, down from near total dependence today. But could fail is doing a lot of work in that sentence. As of today, if India tried to meet its projected 2030 battery demand entirely through imports, at current prices, the annual import bill would cross $23 billion a year. That's a bigger number than India's current spend on several major imported commodities combined. Here's the real story underneath the headline. India is convinced the buyer. EV sales are genuinely booming, faster than almost anyone expected. But the harder problem was never getting people to buy electric vehicles. It was building the industrial base underneath them. The factories, the refineries, the raw material supply chains that don't show up in a sales chart. Right now, every electric vehicle sold in India that runs on a Chinese battery is, in a very real sense, still tied to Beijing's supply chain, even while the vehicle itself proudly wears an Indian license plate. That's the gap between an EV revolution and a true energy independence, and right now, India is still standing in that gap. I hope this story adds value to your journey as much as researching it did to mine. If it did, hit the like and let the YouTube professor know. Don't forget to subscribe to stay ahead of the curve. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.